Up next on America Honors Our Veterans, Shooting for the Stars. Meet the Navy SEAL who traded in his combat gear for a spacesuit. Second Sight, how a Vietnam veteran blinded in battle found new vision through his hands. And Cracking the Enemy Code, the amazing true story of one of the female veterans who helped decode unbreakable German messages during World War II. And what's a celebration without music? The prestigious Army Field Band joins us for a special performance, sure to inspire us all. All this plus some special shout-outs on America Honors Our Veterans.
America Honors Our Veterans, presented by National University, a veteran-founded nonprofit offering tuition discounts for active duty service members and dependents. Learn more at nu.edu. By USAA, proudly serving the military community and hiring them too. Join our mission at usaajobs.com. And this program is produced in partnership with DAV, fulfilling our promises to the men and women who served.
Not many people can say they've spent over a year of their life in space, unless you're former astronaut and Navy SEAL Chris Cassidy, whose 3 trips above Earth to the International Space Station provided him with a unique perspective on this special planet we call home.
You know, I'm often asked, how does one go from being a SEAL to an astronaut? And I was not a young guy thinking about spaceflight. In fact, I was not a young guy thinking about the Navy. I had no idea about the SEAL teams, and I had no idea that people can apply to be an astronaut, which sounds silly because somebody has to be astronauts, but in my brain, it was what other people do. You had to be a test pilot, you have to be this, you have to be that. All those things preclude me from being one of them. And I met Bill Shepard, who was the first Navy SEAL to become an astronaut, and he had also graduated from the Naval Academy, and he had also attended MIT for graduate school. And then I realized that if NASA selected him, then why the heck not me? Let's try.
Just after returning from a 6-month deployment, Chris received a call that would literally launch him into a new chapter of his career. He was officially selected to be an astronaut.
Besides, how do you go to the bathroom in space? The most common question I'm asked is, what are you thinking at launch? And there's so many emotions involved with it. Each one of these days leading up to launch is building. And then the last night that you're there, you have this fitful, restless night of sleep thinking about all the things you have to do tomorrow. You wake up, you pack all your bags and everything ships off. Then you go into the suit room and get your spacesuit on. And that was the first moment when I realized the intensity of launch day, because the suit technician, we're normally joking around and having fun and laughing, he was just very intently focused on every zipper pulls, doom, 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 every mechanism of the wrist and helmet, paying attention that it was all functioning properly. And I remember going, wow, okay, this is game day. Our first launch attempt was at night, so we turned the corner on the bus and the vehicles just lit up with these intense bright white lights. I remember getting out of the bus and looking up at the top towards the rocket and going, holy cow, we're gonna get in that thing. And it's fully full of fuel. That cold fuel against the Florida ambient air causes like the metal to moan and groan and twist, and there's this energy that you just feel. And then at 6 seconds, the main engine's light, and you start to see the red envelop the launch pad, and at T0, explosive bolts fire and release. And I remember thinking, holy cow, this is really it. And my eyeballs looking at all the things I'm supposed to be looking at, but I couldn't help but look out the window and see it go by. There's just so many emotions with it. There's excitement, there's pride that you're there representing your country and your family. There's nerves. Am I gonna screw this up? Am I trained well enough? Do I have what it takes? Am I gonna screw up when they need me to not? And then there's just your own personal excitement, like, oh my gosh, I've been training for 5 years for this, and now here we are. There's just a lot wrapped up in it. The most stressful and scary moment in all of my experience was a particular spacewalk where my buddy's spacesuit started to fill with water on the inside.
Yeah, that's not sweat. It's not sweat.
And what was happening was water was mixing into the oxygen lines. And so as oxygen came onto his head, water was as well. And so the water started to fill his head like a layer of frosting on a cake.
It's hard to tell, but it feels like a lot of water. I see it now, wiggling.
And it got in his eyebrows and his eyes, and then his nostrils and his ears. And so his mouth was still open when we got back inside, but he couldn't see, he couldn't hear. He and I have talked about it several times, but he probably had 20 more minutes, and then he wouldn't have been able to get a fresh breath of air. There's no doubt that experience in the SEAL teams, particularly combat experience in Afghanistan, helped me. I naturally just sort of settled in and, okay, what do I got to do? I remember actually having this thought, what do I need to do to break even? Like, in other words, stuff never gets super good really fast, but it can go super bad really fast. And so I remember thinking, I need to not do anything that makes it get super bad. I need to just break even. Life is about experiences, those little moments that stick with you. And usually those moments are associated with not just yourself, but when you're sharing that with somebody special, your family, your friends, your crewmates in this case. And so my first opportunity to see Earth through the window was right after launch on the shuttle. I had to take some photographs of the external fuel tank, and in doing so, I realized that, oh my God, that's Strait of Gibraltar down there, and we've only been in flight for 30 minutes. And 30 minutes ago, we were in Florida, now we're over the Straits of Gibraltar. And you just see Earth below you. That view made me realize, holy cow, we need to take care of this place. Like, look at what's going on down there in the Amazon. You don't see traffic on the highways between up and down the East Coast or across the country. You don't see strife in the Middle East. You just see Earth. But it made me realize that that's our home. That's the spaceship for whatever 7 or 8 billion people that we are now. And we need to take care of it, just like we need to maintain our car, we need to maintain the spaceship we're in, we need to maintain Earth, and we need not screw it up. And so it made me far more aware of what Earth does for us.
Up next, a 102-year-old veteran who worked to decode unbreakable German messages during World War II.
It's a great honor for me to wish all of our veterans Happy Veterans Day. Thank you so much for the service that you've given to our country. And thank you for the sacrifices that your families have made in order for you to provide that service. We're a great country because of you.
When Julia Parsons volunteered for the Navy Waves during World War II, she never dreamed that she would be thrust into one of the most secretive and pivotal programs of the war, decoding German transmissions from the famously unbreakable Enigma machine.
I joined the military because everybody was so patriotic in those days. It was just almost automatic. Everybody did something.
Julia joined the Navy Waves, which stood for Women Accepted for Volunteer Emergency Service, and was immediately put to work.
We were all sitting there waiting to be placed somewhere, and someone asked if anybody knew German. And I raised my hand. I had 2 years of German in high school, and they ushered me right straight to the German section, where we decoded the Enigma machine. That was our job. It was fascinating work, and I never dreamed that I would get into anything quite so complicated as the Enigma machines. But if you've ever seen one, you'll certainly understand why it was so complicated.
The Enigma machine was a German invention, which encoded messages using a series of rotors and letters. Only the sender and recipient knew the proper settings to decode a message, but one needed an Enigma machine to have any hopes of unscrambling the codes, something the Germans were sure the Allies didn't have access to. Except
we had their machine, and they never knew that we had it. And On his deathbed, the head of German communications still insisted that we could not possibly break that code. It was so unbreakable. But of course, we did. We had to guess which messages were important and which ones were breakable, I guess is the word. And we ran the machine backwards, hoping that we could get it that way. And sometimes we got it, and sometimes we didn't.
Julia and the other waves working to crack the Nazi codes were sworn to secrecy, unable to tell anyone, an oath Julia even kept from her husband.
It wasn't that I didn't trust him, but he was due to go overseas, and I thought, if he doesn't know about it, he won't be tempted to confess. They called it the best kept secret that the Navy ever had.
But soon the war was over, and Julia had difficulty adjusting to a more routine life.
And I remember saying to my, I said, guys, we just did ourselves out of the job. Oh, I missed it terribly. It was so nice to be part of something that nobody knew anything about. But it was hard going back to babies and scuttling fools because we had seen better things.
Today, Julia and the other waves are rightfully celebrated for their invaluable contributions to winning the war.
And I was so happy that I was part of it.
Up next, blind veteran Michael Naranjo's inspiring artistic journey.
Hi everybody, Chef Robert Irvine here from the Robert Irvine Foundation. I want to take this time to say a huge thank you. The American people get to sleep well at night because of the sacrifices of all our veterans. God bless you, God bless your families, and God bless the United States of America.
Veteran and Native American Michael Naranjo had wanted to be an artist his entire life. So when he lost his vision in battle, he didn't let that stop him from sculpting renowned works of art, which can be found from the Vatican to the White House, inspiring countless others with his story of perseverance and determination. Drafted to the Vietnam War, Michael and his squad soon found themselves in the middle of an ambush when a grenade rolled into his hand and exploded, taking his eyesight along with the use of one of his hands. Recovering at the hospital but unsure of his future, a chance encounter gave him a reason to go on living.
I was laying there in a hospital bed and a volunteer comes along and asked if there was anything I wanted. I always wanted to be a sculptor, even when I was a little boy. So I asked for some water-based clay. So I rolled out this old piece of clay and made an inch worm. And at that moment, I knew I could still be a sculptor if I worked at it. Now I had something to live for. Eventually, I had little shows. Articles came out in newspapers, and it started going. As time progressed, one day I realized I guess I'm a sculptor. But what it is an inner desire, a passion, a love, something you have to do. It's satisfying, it's rewarding, and you get acknowledgement for it. People ask, how do you do it? It's memories from the past, it's from reading books, but on rare occasions, I'll get one from a dream. But now it's imprinted a bit in my mind's eye. And once I sit down with the material, I can recreate it as best I can. When I first went to museums and they wouldn't let me touch pieces, I found it difficult. At times, they had touchable exhibits in museums, but they weren't anything I wanted to touch, adorn a vase. I wanted to touch sculptures.
Michael's devoted wife Lori began to write to museums and galleries to gain Michael touch access to some of the world's most famous works of art. Eventually, a producer heard about Michael's story and asked him if there was a particular sculpture he'd like to explore.
I said, yes, I take it.
Within a few short months, it was all arranged. A special scaffolding would be built around Michelangelo's David in Florence, Italy, so that Michael could scale the massive sculpture and come face to face with one of history's most beloved works of art.
And I slowly started looking at his face. It has hearts in his pupils. His pupils are made of hearts. I felt this funny feeling coming down the back of my neck, down my back, and I could feel the tears welling up. And he's just amazing, incredible. Not everyone is going to like anything and everything I made, but that's okay. That's art. We don't like everybody's art. We like certain things. For whatever reason, it strikes our fancy, and if we're drawn to it, into it, and on occasions, that's what some of my pieces do to people. It evokes emotions that lie within them, that stir these feelings, and it gives them pleasure, happiness. It makes them sad. I guess people tell me I'm a role model sometimes. I don't know. I think sometimes I make a difference out there because I teach workshops and I see these adults, young kids, get into it. At first they're really talking. After a while, I don't even know if they're in the room. They're so busy trying to make what I'm talking them through to create. Everyone can create. If given the proper place, opportunity, instruction, it's fun. It's part of us. We love art. That's what I do. So maybe I can share a little bit of it with somebody.
Veterans Day is a time to pay tribute to the brave men and women in uniform who have sacrificed so much for our freedom. Here to perform an American classic is the Army Field Band.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesty above the fruited plain. America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
Thanks for watching America Honors Our Veterans. And to all our veterans, thank you for your service.
America Honors Our Veterans is presented by National University, a veteran-founded nonprofit offering tuition discounts for active duty service members and dependents. Learn more at nu.edu. By USAA, proudly serving the military community. Join our mission at usaajobs.com. And this program is produced in partnership with DAV, fulfilling our promises to the men and women who served. And made possible by the generous support of Wells Fargo. Learn more by visiting wellsfargo.com/military. This program is made possible by the generous support of the following companies. Military Made. Support the military community at militarymade.com, the site that exclusively sells products from veteran-owned businesses.